Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 100 of the Last Rites podcast. Yeah, it's the proper one and all that. Thank you very much. If you haven't already, please give us a subscribe. It'll be really nice. It's a big red button, not that difficult to see. Just click it. That'll be nice, right? Like, share, and all that stuff as well. And if you have, thank you very much. Today, we'll be talking to Billy Wayne Davis. In fact, I've already spoken to him. But this is editing, right? Currently on tour in Houston. Billy Wayne is a comic from Tennessee. He has an awesome special out on 800-Pound Gorilla on YouTube right now called Testify, filmed in the International Church of Cannabis in Denver, Colorado. Go check out the special. The links are down below. If you do comment that The Last Rite sent you, why not? And the one person out of the 78,000 that have watched it so far, whatever, just do it. Importantly, subscribe to this channel. Check out my other links below. Got a couple of other podcasts going on there as well. But, you're here now. So why don't we just talk to Billy Wayne Davis live? By the way, he's going to be choking on cannabis fumes from a hotel room in Texas. So let's begin. Thanks for sticking around. 100 episodes, a load of other shit as well. And plenty of good guests to come. So this felt... Did this seem as unnatural for you as it felt for me to do? I don't know what's wrong with me. I should have gone to the gym. Anyway, news to come soon. Until then, enjoy the show. It's Billy Wayne Davis, yeah? Subscribe to me first. There we go. All going ahead. So, Billy, you're over in Houston today, right? Let's give Billy a minute. Billy's in Houston.
Yes, I am in Houston, Texas.
Oh man, nice.
It's the filter, is what it is.
Yeah, it's exactly what's going on. If you hear anything weird from me, I'm just eating some really hot food as well, so my nose might be running. But there we go. Never been to Texas. I was going to go over into Austin. I was in the States in January, and I just couldn't be out there for as long as I wanted to be. So I went to New York and Nashville.
Huh.
And I hung out with Brett Brock for a couple of days, Husky Boy over there in Nashville.
Is that your first Nashville experience?
Oh yeah. So he took me on the, he made me do Broadway and all. Yeah, we did. But we left by 4 p.m. Man, we started in the morning and we day drank and we left at 4.
Oh, he's a pro. That's a locals move. Yeah, that's it.
He's in it right now. So let me tell you what happened. I landed at Nashville at 7 a.m. By 8 a.m. we were in Waffle House.
Okay.
9 a.m. we're at Brett's place, and by 9:15 we were drinking beer. So we professionalized the day. We were by 7.
That's a true. I mean, everyone's a drunk in Nashville. What's up, Craig? Who the fuck is calling? No, my wife is calling me on FaceTime right now.
You want to take it? Take it for a sec. I'll mute you.
Okay.
Let's mute Billy there. Give me a thumbs up when you want to come back on. Craig, thanks for hanging out, buddy. So I don't know. I just suddenly had a had a meltdown, brain meltdown there. But there we go. Billy's muted. We can't hear what he's saying. So, hey, Craig, thanks for hanging out. Old Grumpy Mama, how you doing? Nice to see you. It was good to see you back on the old on the art last night, Brett. What an Apocalypse Now move that was on a Miller Lite box. So it just never stops. So everyone go check out Husky Boyo if you're watching this back for sure. It's the man with dementia right here now. I'm freaking myself out because I'm just watching a man talk with no volume, but I'm trying to keep it going. Hey, my dog, make sure all the dementia going well today. There's no jello. There's no arguments. You're not going to come in yelling about Gen Y. I don't even know what generation I am. I think I'm the end of Gen X. I don't know, right at the end. Well, I don't know. I told him to give him a thumbs up.
If it's in it, you can have him.
Okay, no, he's not ready to be unmuted. He understands the assignment, sirs. Yeah, but it's a nice Saturday here. It's great as fuck. I went to the gym today and turned right back around because the things I wanted to use were being used, and I don't want to hover over people, so I just turned right the way back and came home. So did nothing today. I've just eaten hot food and sat. Been making some videos. There we go, Billy. Sorry.
There I'm back.
Yeah.
That was my toddler. He I bought Ron Funches has shoes. Do you know who the comedian Ron Funches is?
Yeah.
He has he released some Puma shoes, the Ron Funches Pumas, and they're for autism awareness and to raise money for that. So I bought them when they dropped, and my toddler got the box this morning, and he's at real like peak cute right now, so I don't like to miss some of it. And like he found the box and he was like, "Mom, what's the box say?" Because he thought there were trains in it, and it said it's for B.W. Davis, and he just started crying. I was like, "Oh, does he miss me?" And she's like, "No, he thinks it's trains." I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah. You got to listen. You got to get those family moments. It's what I have. We're so it's rewarded. We've got the ability to have the phones now. We can see all these moments live from hotel rooms.
It is nice, and it makes because I used to love I used to when it was time for the road, I was just like, yeah, let me get out of here. Right. And now I have a house and a family I really love.
Yeah.
And every time that morning, even Thursday morning, I was just kind of dragging to the airport, and I was like, I was like, oh, I'm happy.
Yeah, so I mean, let me know what that's like.
It's taken 20 years, man. So, but but once once I got to Houston, I'm like, oh yeah, I love this too. But there's
you feel the separation when you're getting out there, right?
Yeah, in a way that I never had before. And it's like one of those things where this sucks. But then when you think about it, you're like, oh no, this is wonderful. This is
wonderful, and what we should be doing instead of being man children, all over the place.
Well, it throws some other comics off when they're like, "What are we doing after this?" And I'm like, "I'm gonna go back to the hotel."
Yeah,
because I'm a grown man and I can't.
Yeah. I've got a friend who's a comic, and he's had a family for years. He had kids real young, so his kids they're growing up a little bit now. But he's always he'll party once every 6 months. But then most of the time it's like, yeah, I need to get out of here by 10, man. I've got to go get the kids to school tomorrow.
It is. I like getting up early now. So, but I do. I mean, this week has been nice. I'm complaining that I missed them, but at the same time, I got to sleep in. I woke up 15 minutes before this started because I took some edibles after my show because I was like, I'm gonna make myself sleep. And I did. I was a little nervous. I had a little anxiety because I was like, I hope if I miss this thing, I hope they call me loud enough.
Oh man, it's good. It's talking of edibles. So I'm a bit of a. We don't really have them properly here, so I've had cakes and all that shit. So I knew about when I went to New York. I thought I'm gonna have 10 milligrams. I'm a baby. I'm just gonna start small because I've heard all the horror stories. And I got slipped some in. We went to the stand in New York, and I got slipped some in a bar by Steve and Kat. I don't know if they're going to turn up today. And then Mind Dog slipped me another one through the night. I met him in New York as well. And so I had about 45 milligrams. I could hear I was left in the bar on my own by the end of it. I could hear people's thoughts, or so I thought. Every time someone spoke, it was just echoing. And then I couldn't move my arms. So I was trying to lift my beer, trying to pay. And I was just like... But luckily the guy, this was in Manhattan, the guy behind the bar was cool. He could have robbed me, he could have kicked me out, but he was cool. I told him immediately what had happened. I said, I'm on my own. I've taken too many edibles. I might act a little weird. And he's like, I've got you. So he actually waited for me. He helped me out the bar. At the end, it just hit me. But I knew I was trying to manage it.
You know what's crazy? If you would have been in Nashville, they would have fucked you over.
Yeah.
And Nashville, the South has it's Southern hospitality and all that stuff. And I was like, and the whole time you're telling us, I was like, thank God you're in New York where people are nice.
Well, to be honest, it could have been the wrong place. It could have been the wrong bar. The barman was just cool as fuck. It was just.
That's what I'm saying. I lived in New York for 7 months, and it was the most shocking thing to me was how pretty awesome everyone is there. It's not. I mean, they'll say like, "Hey, fuck you," but at the same time, like, "You need help, motherfucker," because like we're all in this nightmare together. So Southern
As
people
long as
don't
they're
like
not the
hearing
ones
that.
trying to shoot you in the head, in a weed store, it's all they're all fine. But
No.
most people I found absolutely fine. But it's got a lot of people there. People are busy. That's why they don't want bullshit, right? They don't need any problems. But they're generally good people.
That's what I mean. Like you have to understand the pace and the culture. But yeah, Brett is right. We will leave somebody in a field for fun. I've done that several times.
Oh yeah. No, I was on my best behavior. Like I said, we day drank. We were out of the bars by 4 and then back at Brett. So that was the way to do it. Because at 4 p.m. on Broadway, as you probably know, all the girls in cowboy hats that they brought that morning, because they're visiting from wherever, they're on the cocktail pedal bikes up and down, and that was time to leave. And I knew, I was like, let's leave.
Do you? I'm so like, I wish, and Brett can back me up on this. Like, I left Nashville in 2006, at the end of 2006, and it used to be the coolest little creative place.
Yeah.
Now Broadway was like, I think it used to be way more fun because now, like you said, it's just full of like derps, and I call it Derp Vegas is what it is. But it used to be this cool little town with like weird religious people, and then like truly creative people lived in this gritty little town. And it was cool. And like famous people would come through to but they were like creative famous people. They weren't just there to be famous. They were just like, I'm trying to make something cool. And you're like, come to Nashville, no one bother you. You can get drunk all night, all day still, and then I don't know. I don't think he did but like when Jack moved there, Jack White, he made it cool for like people that thought they were cool to come there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it completely. It changes the feeling of the city, right?
And to me, it's like jarring every time I go. Now, Zany's is still pretty much the same because it's a special little comedy heaven. Yeah, he's right. Prior to 2003, Nashville.
Yeah, I hear nothing but good stuff about Zany's. We drove, but I had a tour from Brett. He was driving me around the city, and the main soundtrack was like, "Motherfuckers, when did they build this? When did they do this? This has got the whole time." He found a new town 5 minutes from his house. He's like, "When the fuck did they build this town and bridge? I haven't seen."
No, he's totally right. Like, and I don't live there, so when I come back, it's like drastically different, and you're just like, what is happening? And then you make comments to people, and they're like, "Oh, I hadn't even noticed that. It is fucked up." And you're like, "Y'all need to." But I think it's some kind of weird tax scheme, is what's happening.
It could be. I mean,
there's a lot of weird
we
stuff.
saw a lot. We saw a lot of money. There's a lot of money there that's a bit confusing about what it is. Where's that? What is that money? These new houses that are on the side. Is it just drug dealers, or is it? I don't know. It's a wild time, but I had a great time. Listen, I was only there a couple of days. I was in the US for a week, New York. I zipped in 2.5 days in Nashville and out. So I mean, me and Brett were pretty much drunk the whole time, but we saw enough. We had good tacos, we had good food. We a couple of those Broadway bars were fun, but one of them found out I was from England. He's like, "Oh, we have a British bar. Why don't you go?" And I was like, "Why the fuck? Why the fuck would I come to Tennessee and want to go to an English pub?" Like,
I can tell you why they thought that, because when they travel, they'll find okay, when you're in New York and you're in Times Square and you're like, why is there a fucking Applebee's here? Or like, why is there it's because that's where those type people, when they travel, they don't want to, like you and I, we're like, where's the culture? Where's your town?
Yeah.
Like, what's the street where you're like, whoa, you went there? That's crazy. You're like, yeah, I want to go see your town, your place. But that's not how most people travel, is that they want to go and like, we ate at the Applebee's in New York, and it's kind of like the Applebee's in our town.
So they want a piece of home, right? Yeah, I know someone that lives in Ohio, and she goes to Hard Rock Cafe in every town. Like, that's just their night out in every city. I know it drives me insane. My brother goes to Cyprus, and he just eats. Well, he's a little better, but he wants English breakfast, and he wants some familiarity in the sun. He's disgusting. He's a disgusting fat man, and he just does that he just wants England in the sun, basically. But no, I want to get involved. I travel a lot, and I'm in Brazil a lot. I will be in the States a lot more now, and I just want to get involved. I'll see a bit of the touristy stuff. Okay, hi. And then I want to find the bar. Where are the people drinking? Where are the people eating?
Mm-hmm.
I want to get in there and see what's happening. Hope that I don't get left in a field for fun. That's it.
Well, that's kind of fun too. You get back.
It can be with the right company, I guess. But
yeah,
I had the good time. So yeah, Tennessee still obviously illegal for. Are people smoking it there though? Are they smoking it or are they?
Oh well, I think in Nashville they decriminalized marijuana, and the joke I make when they do that, it was like, oh, cool. So they made it legal for rich people, is what it is, because it's just a fine. It's just a high fine if you get caught with so much or whatever. Yeah. So if you've got money, it's pretty legal. You just have to pay a little tax on it. But if you're poor, you're fucked.
Yeah.
But I also understand they're playing politics, so they have to do the steps to get it to where they really want, which is a frustrating thing. But I do, so I get loud about just fuck these steps, just do the thing.
It's insane. It's insane. Here will take 20 years. It will take 20 years to have. If they're going to do it recreational, it'll take a long, long time. We're just about getting a little bit of medical around the edges, but you can't go and get it like you could when it was medical in the US. I can't ring a doctor and say a headache. You've got to have debilitating cancer, and then maybe you can get prescribed a little bit. That's where we are right
now. But isn't hash like what most of y'all use in the UK?
It used to be. I think it's changed. It's changed. We can get a lot of different stuff here now. There's if you know some dirty people, you can find whatever you need to find now. Used to be, some people are still into hash and stuff, but we get some reasonably good stuff. But you don't know what it is. That's the problem. You don't always know exactly what it is. You just know that this guy's good, that stuff's good, and then it's just still in street corners of people delivering it around. Yeah, it's still a little. Because
you could get some strain that just makes you paranoid. That's what you're getting a hold of. Yeah, that sucks. I had to stop when I was living in New York. I stopped for a couple months because, like you said, when it's illegal or decriminalized, it's like you have to get it from who you can get it from. And then sometimes they just have I was getting it from this Russian dude through this club owner, and he was cool, you know what I mean? And pretty easy to deal with. But I realized after a week or so of smoking and stuff, I was like, oh, this is making me paranoid in New York City, which is an exhausting place to be paranoid in.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, I can't. I'm just going to quit smoking for a while until I find a new strain. And then because I don't know. You've been in New York. Can you imagine being paranoid in the subway? It's that kind of. I was
no. I mean, I felt. Listen, I thought I was going to get killed at Penn Station, and then when I went to Nashville, for some reason, the only flight I could get was from where the fuck was it from? Newark, and I got a Port Authority train at 3 a.m., dude. And when I got on the other end, I think at Newark side, I thought I was going to die. There were police inside the station, but I needed a cab, so I went out the side. The police went sure, and outside was just Escape from New York. I was just, people were shouting, "It's a child molester." There's all kind of shit going on out there. So I went right back in, and then I had to go out, and I ran for the one cab it was a yellow cab. I thought, right, I've got to get it. Uber won't even come here. So I got in, and the door's hanging off. I thought, this is an illegal cab now. But I was committed. I was so late for this flight. I was about to text Brett saying I can't make Nashville. I made it just in time. So I lifted the creaky door and shut it. It was like, don't take cards. I was like, we're gonna have to go and get money. I thought, this is where I get robbed. You're gonna take me to an ATM, and this is where I get shot.
No, that's what I would have thought too. Be like, you're not taking me.
But he actually, man, he took me to a gas station, and it was brightly, it was fine, and he did get me to the airport. I was checking the map the whole time. If he took one turn away from the airport, I would have been out the window. But so I did feel so. Yeah, imagine being paranoid in that situation as well. I was already convinced I was going to die, but I kind of just accepted it like a deer in a fucking wolf's mouth. I was like, okay, well, I'm either going to get the flight now or I'm not.
Yeah. Oh, that's John Prine says I'll never run for an airplane. Now I don't believe that because I think he had a little more money than I did, but I do like to think that when I get like anxiety on the way to the airport, or I think I'm like, it'll be okay. It'll be okay.
Yeah.
You don't need to work yourself up.
Yeah, I got into that mindset, but I was so close to it. I thought it was so difficult to even get the Port Authority train to get over to Newark. I'd done the hard bit. I was so close. I thought, whatever happens now, I'm just going to say yes and hope I don't get shot.
Well, yeah, but you were in Newark, so like you thought you were like, I did the tough part. I got like, but being in Newark is not safe, and I don't mean that in like any.
It was late.
I just mean it in like it's. Well, even around the Port Authority, any time of day is what's the word? What's the right word? Volatile. There's some volatile people there, and then when you're like at 3 a.m, I went to Newark. I was like, oh, that's.
Yeah, I mean, it was my fault because I left booking the flight later and later and later, and the only airline that wasn't going to fuck me was going from Newark, and I thought, well, this is it. This is the choice here.
Is it United?
I'll never do it. I can't even remember. It's some shitty airline. I'll never do it again. I'll go from JFK was easy when I came in. I came in the daytime.
Because there's a train.
Train to Jamaica, then a train to Penn. It was the middle of the afternoon. It was fine.
It's awesome. It's beautiful. You get to see all of like most of Queens and shit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'll do next time. But yeah, I had 2 or 3 moments this time. But apart from that, no, I felt pretty safe. Actually, I was there 10 years ago, and Manhattan seemed more chill than I remember it. I used to think it was crazy, but I guess maybe I've traveled a lot more.
Well, I think it's gotten wealthier.
Yeah.
So there's not as many fun people. So the energy's not as. I mean that too. Like it's like it's really, and I don't go there a whole lot, but it is like Nashville. You go and you're like, huh, that's not good. Like even the short time I lived there, my wife lived in Greenpoint next to Williamsburg. And COVID did change the city in a weird way. But like even watching Williamsburg change while I was there, it happened so fast where it was like, I guess I was there on the tail end of like where there was like weird artists and just like genuinely weirdos, not people trying to be weird, but like weirdos, like art weirdos who are like, I'm mentally ill, but I've channeled it. And then one day I was sitting on Mindy. Do you know Mindy that takes the pictures? Mindy Tucker. She takes great pictures in New York. She's focuses mainly on comedy. But I was sitting on her stoop on Metropolitan, and I kept seeing motherfuckers in suits in power and like women in power suits. And I was like, Mindy, what is this? Is there some kind of? And she was like, oh, they all live here now. All the suits because it's cool. And I was like, oh, so the neighborhood's over. And she was like, yeah, I think it is. And it was like it just and now it's like Bushwick and even pushed back because all that money, they think they're cool because they have money. So they go to where the artists are. And you're like, but you're not artists.
It's the same. It's the same story everywhere. We have it in place. By the way, I follow Mindy on Instagram, so I do know who she is. We have it in London as well. We've got music centers, cultural centers, and they're trying to fuck with it. People with money will go there, and then they'll start. The slightly better coffee shops will pop up, and the slightly better restaurants will pop up, and then someone wants to buy a bar and turn it into an office. It's getting a little wild over there too, but it takes the fucking soul out of it.
I live in a Mexican working class neighborhood, not because we're not trying to gentrify. It was just like we could afford it, and it's like adjacent to the hipsters neighborhood. You know what I mean? So it was like, hi, Carl. But recently, and we've been there like 8 years. We were the only white people there for a long, long time, and recently there's a upscale coffee shop that opened in this little strip mall, and I was like, oh no.
This is the beginning. It's a fucking bell.
It's over. And now you do see, fucking white people dressed like lunatics walking everywhere, and you're like, oh, this isn't. But then my wife pointed out, she was like, I looked up the property value in our house, and it has went up. And I was like, that is.
They get you. That's how they get you.
It's just, you know what I mean? And we're like, I think we're the reason that the neighbor.
Yeah,
and she's like, yeah.
You're now the rich white guys on the block. So you're going to get the white guy taco truck popping up soon?
I know that's the cool part about LA is, and that our neighborhood is like, no, the cool ass Mexican people that are already there, they have established their territories. Yeah. I have no, when you come to LA, I'll take you my neighborhood.
Yeah.
Like my buddy's a Secret Service agent I've known since kindergarten. He came out and he's like, I want to go to like an authentic Mexican place. And I was like, all right. So he comes out and I was like, let's go eat. And I just walk down the street and he's like, where's your car? And I was like, oh, no, we're going to walk about 6 blocks. And there's this quesadilla stand. They just set up a table on Future Street. And he's like, what? And I was like, so we walk down and he gets it and he doesn't speak the language and I speak it un poquito. And he's been in Iraq and he's like Secret Service guy. So like the way he deals with different cultures is just like stand back. I was like, motherfucker, stop.
Gringo.
And he's like, oh yeah. I was like, just call I know that's your job and stuff, but we don't have to do that here. This is my neighborhood. He gets it and he eats it. And he was like, we're walking back and he's like, this is the best fucking thing I've ever had in my fucking life. And I was like, yeah, you said authentic Mexican. That's who just made that. He was just blown away. Like he'll text me. He's like, is that place still there? Do they still set up? And I was like, yeah, man, that's their.
Yeah, man. Listen, Mexican food does something special to me. And I've had obviously every gentrified version of it. The least gentrified I had was Tucson. It was I knew that Mexicans were making it because they came to the table and made the salsa, and I still remember that salsa 6 years ago, from 6 years ago, and that was the best I've had. But I want to go to Mexico, and LA. I fucked up last time I was in LA. I didn't get enough good shit, and that's what I like, a dodgy little table, because I've been in Brazil a lot as well, and that's the kind of place I like. I'll find a plastic table in the street, and there's a little grill, and that's real food.
There's soul in that, and that's what
soul, some hair, whatever, but it's good.
Did you know I know he just not to make it sad, but it did remind me like Gareth Richards. Did you know him? Gareth British he just passed away.
Yes, yeah.
I did the Middle East with him. We did a 10-day run in the Middle East. And
did you really?
Sweet. I mean, I loved him. I adored him. Like, when you meet, sometimes you meet comics, you're just like, wow, this is, we got along really great and had some fun adventures. And one of the places we went to, he was similar to me, where I was like, I want to go in the stuff. Let's go see and then we talked to one of our handlers who was just like, don't go there. And that's when our eyes were just like, where do we not go? And then this other guy was like, oh, it's the best food in Bahrain. You got to go to this place and go this place.
Yeah.
And you got to and it's this little shack. And we were just like, yes. And it was like, there was like a part of it where we're in the cabin. I was like, we could disappear. Like, we're going deep. And Gareth looked at me. He's like, oh, you're scared too? I was like, a little bit. Yeah. He's like, oh, that's not good. Cause I was like, well, Billy's, he's not scared. And I was like, oh, this is not good. And then the guy pulled up and he's like, best food in town. And he said it in like broken English. And we were like, I bet it is. And it's still, I forgot what the name of the dish I had. And there was like they give you a Coca-Cola, like that tastes different for whatever reason than any Coca-Cola you've ever had.
Phenomenal.
And there's it's a shack is where we were at. And it's still one of the best meals I've ever had. I think.
Listen, when you've eaten something, when you've still got a little bit of adrenaline from the fear, I think that helps with the taste. It's like, it's fucking good, and we're still alive, man.
We have earned this. Yes.
Yeah,
Where like people will walk by and see us and then double take, and we're just like, hey.
Yeah. I've been in places again in South America where I'm not that big, but I was the biggest guy by 1.5 feet, white. I can speak a bit of Portuguese, but everyone was just like, "Why the fuck are you here? Like, why are you in this part of town? Like, I don't know, food." I found there's
I'm hungry. You guys seem cool. I don't know. You're not gonna hurt me.
Yeah. And then I can feel the first time will be scary, but if I'm in a area for a while, by the second time I feel at home, and then I like getting my places. If I'm somewhere for a week or so, I find my couple of places, and I'm in there every day. I'll just go back, get to know the staff, get to know what's going on. That's heaven for me.
It is heaven. It's there are comics that just go to big cities and do what go to the bar or whatever's there, and then you'll talk to them. You're like, "Oh, you ever been here, here, and here?" And they're like, "What are you talking about?" And you're like, "I don't. What do you do on the road, man?"
McDonald's, Popeyes.
That's kind of like they just stay with their thing, and I'm like, they're like, "How do you know all this stuff?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'll just walk out of my hotel and just walk around because we only have an hour to do work a night." So this is part of why I love doing stand up is I like to travel and see different cultures, and this is one of the few jobs where it'll pay for it and you don't have to do bad things while you're doing it.
Well, you can if you like, but you can get it for free.
Yeah.
No, it's exactly. I never even going to towns, even in England when I'm going around, I like to get out. If it's not fucking raining, I'm just out finding what's going on. Where not even drinking the bars, but food shops. I'll go and look in some kooky little bookstore or something and just see what's happening. Andris is in the chat here. Sorry, Andy, you didn't stick out there. Is Billy growing a mustache? The screen is small and he's gingerish. I think it's a beard.
A little bit. Yeah, I just sometimes when I'm trying to get back in like real good shape, running shape. Like I'm always in decent shape, but I'm trying to get like real fit. And I'll grow a mustache like Steve Prefontaine. It's how your mind is dumb, but it.
Yeah, I like to start to look homeless. Sometimes if I'm trying to get in shape, I'll deliberately look homeless for a few weeks and just feel like I'm living in a mountain or something. And you're just hitting the weights, running, all that sort of stuff for a few weeks, and then you clean it up, and I don't know, you feel like a
well, and your face is a little like in better shape than when you put it. So you feel like a transformation, and as you get older, to be a functioning adult is mostly tricking yourself and knowing how to trick yourself into being better. You can buy booze. In Bahrain.
Brett probably flew in there with his helmet on a few years ago for America. So
Bahrain was a learning experience because I didn't know much about it before that trip.
I didn't know anything. I know the Formula One has a track there, but that's it.
It's this little tiny island right off Saudi Arabia, and once you get there, they all tell you they're like, this is like Las Vegas for the Middle East. And you're like, I don't know.
It's the Nashville of Saudi Arabia.
That's what they were trying to say. But then they did take me. This was fascinating because they're like on Thursday, which is their Friday, whatever. They took me to this bridge and it was just black Mercedes sedans for as far as the eye could see. And I was like, what is this? And they were like, oh, it's all the Saudi Arabians coming over. And what they do is, because it's like super strict and religious in Saudi Arabia. So all the fucking wealthy people come over to Bahrain and the women go shopping and the men go to like prostitutes and do all that stuff and it's just like a regular thing they all do. And I was like, huh. I was like, you can see it. He's like, yeah. He's like, I do. He's like, you're one of the few comics that did want to like see it. I was like, yeah, you can see it. It's weird when you can see it and then they're hiding it. It's like an unspoken thing, but there's a traffic jam because of this unspoken.
Yeah, I've never been to the Middle East at all, but I'm thinking about it at some point soonish. I've had a couple of reasons to get out there soon, and I've said no. But yeah, I think I should. I need to get see what's going on with the money
It
of the
was.
world.
That will blow your mind. The money part too. Because, and then people ask me too, like, would you go back? I was like, they would have to pay me so much money for me to go back, because it's not great. It's very, like, Dubai made me sad. There's like fear behind everyone's eyes. It's a weird vibe.
Yeah, I mean, it's built on slavery now. There have just been people
Now,
dying, building the buildings now to make it look nice, to make all the glass nice, to make you feel good when you're there. Yeah,
well, like
Dubai and Qatar have been invited to in the last few months.
I was gonna say, like, Dubai was weird just because there's so much open wealth there, and it's from all over the world. So it was just clear to me, like, I would need $10 or $15 million here to even start having fun, because that's the way this city's designed.
Yeah.
And then we went to Doha and Qatar, and I didn't know much about, like most people, I didn't know much about Qatar. And then we got there, and the skyline's the craziest skyline I've ever. It's like Dr. Seuss got an engineering degree, and I was like, "What is this place?" We stayed across the bay from the skyline, and I had jet lag. So at like 5 a.m., I was up, which was kind of great in a way if you're on vacation or you're trying to see a bunch of stuff. So I couldn't sleep, so I could just get up and go do stuff. So I went outside the hotel, and I grabbed a cab, and the guy was like, "Where are you going?" I was like, "I'm going to go downtown." He's like, "Do you have a meeting or something?" I was like, "Nah, I'm just going to go look at it." And he was like, "Huh." And I remember him just being like, "Huh." And then I told the cab driver to take me there. And I was like, "Just let me out downtown." He was like, "No, I can't do that." And I was like, "Yeah, no, this is good. This is good right here." And there's like a little park, next to the water or something. Like, it felt like Miami a little bit. And I was like, "No, this is fine." He's like, "Are you sure?" And I was like, "Yeah, dude." So I got out, and I'm like wearing shorts. I've got like aviator sunglasses, and I'm just walking. And that's when I noticed, I was like, "Oh, there's no sidewalks here.
Yeah.
Like, there's no pedestrians." I was like, "Oh, there's a reason that guy was like, I don't think you should do this." And then I was just walking around looking at buildings, but everyone looked at me weird, but they didn't bother me.
Yeah.
And then I walked around all over, and there was like a couple buildings I tried to walk into that I just wanted to go see if there's like an observation deck, and they looked at me like I was an insane person, even for walking in. And then I got in a cab to go. I got tired, and I saw some of the stadiums they were building for the World Cup and all that.
Yeah.
And I was like, just that I was just trying to figure out, I was like, this place is odd. I don't understand how it works. And then the cab driver I got wasn't from there, and he spoke pretty great English. And he was like, "You just walking around downtown?" I was like, "Yeah, should I not do that?" Everyone's looking. He's like, "Yeah, it's pretty weird." And then I was like, "Can I go see like where people live in Bahrain?"
Yeah.
He's like poor people? And I was like, "Yeah." And it wasn't far outside of town. And he took me around, and it looked like, like a Bourne Supremacy movie is what it looked like, where it's just like, just kind of Adobe looking Middle Eastern buildings with like, just wires running everywhere and little satellite dishes. It did. I was like, "Oh, okay."
That's the country. That's
What he was like. He was explaining. I was like, "Oh, this makes more sense." And then he took me by some work camps. He's like, "We're going to go real fast through here. I just want to point out what that is." And I thought that was pretty cool that he did that for me, because I guess he could tell that I was just like, "This is fucked up, huh?" And he was like, "Yeah."
It's probably good for him that you're probably one of the only people that's interested that goes there.
I think that too, where I was, yeah. And then he took me back to the hotel, and I did the rest of the day. And then that night, that was like the first day we were in Doha. So that night we had a show. It was at the top of our hotel in a little bar. And I'm looking at the skyline, and it is crazy. But there's like a couple buildings that aren't lit up. It's night. And then this little British dude comes up, and he's like stocky, and his confidence it's odd. And we start talking, and I was like, why aren't some of these buildings lit up? And he's like, oh, they're empty. I was like, I'm sorry, what? And he's like, oh, most of those buildings are empty because the king, he wanted the World Cup to come here. And instead of building industry and stuff like to make it a really big, wonderful city, he just thought, I'll just build a cool skyline.
Fuck.
So that's
Just
what
to,
he did.
Just to see.
Just to see. So people were like, and it is the coolest fucking skyline you've ever seen. It is amazing. But once you realize, like, oh, it's just for show, it's crazy.
Fuck, man. That's wild.
And then I was like, what do you do? He's like, I'm a diver for the government. And I was like, okay, all right. And he was like, so you just, he was like, so you just went walking around downtown today? I was like, yeah. And evidently I'm not supposed to do that. And he started laughing. He's like, I bet people were confused. I was like, yeah, they were.
Yeah, I imagine it's the kind of place where you're not going to get trouble from it, but people would just go, what the fuck? What the fuck is that guy doing? We know he's American. We can see the aviators. What is he doing just wandering around downtown?
Well, my wife pointed out, she was like, you do look like somebody in a movie that would be in the CIA. And I was like, that is a good point. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, you're out there to take out a pipeline or,
Just, and especially how confident I was walking around too. I'm sure they're like, look at this motherfucker. Look at, but it was, I didn't understand. And then by the time I really stood Doha, I was like, we need to get out of here. This is real. This is a bad place. And
that's fair. I'm probably going to end up there at some point. But yeah, it's wild. It'll be wild to see. How long ago was that? A few years ago.
2015 or 16, probably.
Yeah. That makes sense.
I remember a fun part of Bahrain is after we landed, there's some cool buildings there too. Some amazing architecture. But there's one building, and we're in this cab, and it's me and Gareth and the other comic. She's in the front seat. And there's this building that has like a windmill in the middle and the top, and it's cool. And the guy's pointing out, he's like, yeah, in that wind, it supplies most of the energy for the building. And even when the wind's not blowing, it's still going around supplying energy. And I was just like, I just looked at Gareth, and Gareth went, no. And then we got out of the hotel, we got out of the cab, and I was like, hey, and he's like, yeah, I just think if Bahrain had a perpetual motion machine, we would have heard about it. I was like, oh, you can't. That's not how that works. You can't just.
Yeah, I don't know. There's slaves who've broken their leg being crushed up and ground to power that thing. That's how the building's running. But I know nothing about it at all. But I feel the time's coming. I want to go everywhere. Japan's on the list, but I think the time's coming where I will check out the Middle East in the next couple of years for sure.
It's only a 6-hour flight from y'all.
Yeah. It just, for me, it always seemed like a world away. I guess
it is a world. I mean, it is.
Yeah. Yeah. The furthest I've been over is I've been to Germany. That's the furthest I've been over. I want to hit up Czechoslovakia and Hungary and all that stuff as well. But yeah, I'll slowly make my way over there.
I was trying to go to China for a while. There was some shows in China, and then my friend Matt Davis, he was over there quite a bit, and I was working with some bookers to try to figure it out. And he was over there, and he called me. He was like, hey, he's like, I think this China thing's he's like, I don't know much longer this is going to happen. And I was like, what do you mean? He sounded scared, when you're talking to somebody. I was like, what happened? And he was like, so he doesn't use drugs or anything. He's like totally sober. He smokes a ton of cigarettes and drinks coffee like it's water. But that's he just smokes cigarettes. And so he does no drugs or anything. So they did a show, and they're hanging out after the show and some expat stuff. And he was like, and then he's like, we see some Communist Party people, across he's like, but you see them a lot. It's this kind of thing. He was like, and then the police showed up, and then they came up and they're like, hey, we got a report of drug use. So he's like, so they took us all in a cop car to the police station. And he's like, I was okay, because I was like, I don't do anything. He's like, and we all were. And he was like, you could tell the cops were bummed because they were trying to use it, he figured out, to just get him out of the country.
Yeah.
But, you know, he came back negative and all that. And he was like, so he's like, I'm talking to the bookers here and some of the people. And he's like, because the Communist Party started doing stuff to slowly start eliminating it. It wouldn't direct what they would do, but what they were doing was maneuvering. And he's like, so if you want to come to China, you have to stop smoking weed for like 30 or 40 days before and all that. And I was like, I'm just not gonna fuck with that. That's not.
Yeah.
I don't.
China was on. I've heard about the stuff about the expat clubs and stuff as well, but it's getting to the point where we're now. Well, we are openly declaring China the enemy. So it's kind of like I don't know how much longer we're going to be even welcome going there. And I've heard good things. I had a friend that lived there for a year, and she loved it. Mm-hmm. And wants to go back as well.
Matt loved it before all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he really loved China before all that. He was like, there's something he could, you know, he's a smart dude. He's traveled and done comedy in a bunch of different countries. But he was like, something's changing here. And he's like, we can't
they've taken themselves a little bit more seriously. And I have heard other stories of where secret police are at the back of the comedy shows and stuff as well, just to make sure you're on point.
He's got I mean, I'm going to tell his story. You should have him on, but I'll tell this story anyway. But one of his stories is one time he was over there and they were doing a show. And it's a pretty regular show. But Putin was in town. And this was years ago. This is years before.
Another cool guy.
Yeah, super, chill motherfucker. And he was speaking or something, but it was like in the part of town where Matt was staying and where the show was going to be. He's like, so what the Communist Party does is like they just came in and shut the bar down that we were having the show. And they're like, it's kind of like an uneventful way to do that. And I was like, that is kind of smart. And he's like, yeah. And people understand, like, okay. He's like, but they know how to work around it. So they just didn't want they were like, they weren't scared. They just didn't want any incident while that motherfucker was in town. And I was like, I understand that too. From some political, I understand both sides here. And then, but they ended up moving the show to this, and he was like, it was like a batting cage in this building, like deep. He's like, you had to go in one building and then through that building into another building, and there was like this hidden batting cage. He's like, and there was like 20 people doing the show. And I was like, were you scared? And he was like, a little bit the whole time, because you're just like, he's like, at first you're like, oh, no one's going to find us. But then you're like, oh, we are trapped back here. I was like, that's all I kept thinking. I was like, if you're moving in this maze and then you're back in this room where I was like, that's.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be. I'm sure they're used to making those little speakeasies when you need to do it or whatever it is. But I would be worried that if they told you not to do something and then you did it, that would be in my mind the whole fucking time. Like, what's going to happen if they find out we're just telling them to go fuck themselves and we're doing the show anyway?
While Putin's in town and they need to show him stuff.
We got the CCP and Putin. There's probably FSB agents running around. Don't want any of it. I don't want
none of it. None of it. No. They play different games than I do, and I don't want to play their games.
Not fun. But I want to go almost everywhere. And even Russia, I was looking into going to Russia a few years ago. Got friends that had been there on the train and stuff, sat in Moscow. But now it's probably a no for the next few years.
As a traveler too, it's just like, could y'all get along? I just want to go see some because Moscow seems like it seems amazing.
I've heard some good stories. Friends that have traveled there, you go and see all the stuff, but then you find the vodka bars, or you just find the little alleyways again. The local people get a story out of it. That would be. That's what I want to do. But yeah, at the moment it's off limits. I think for quite a while. I think.
Yeah, I think there's some power moves happening that is going to affect our travel. No.
But there we go. But I've got Czechoslovakia, even Hungary, Budapest. I've heard they're pretty good as well to get over there, so I can edge towards it. but I'll just.
I would love to go to
Go
Budapest.
down.
I think that's fascinating.
Yeah, it's from what I hear, it's cheap, it's beautiful, it's cool, it's old. It's one of those old cities over that way, and it's just got a lot of culture. And for sure, that's on my list. But yeah, travel's basically my main quest outside of eating, and half the reason that I travel is for food. So it's
where have you been in the States?
So originally I went to New York and Miami years ago. Then I went over when I had a sensible job. I went over to St. Pete Beach near Tampa for a week. Then I've been to Tucson in Arizona, LA, and Bisbee as well. So I've been around. So I think that's about it. Nashville, that's my limits right now. But I know people in tons of different states over there. I know people in Kansas, Ohio, New Mexico. So yeah, I need to keep coming. I think and it's pretty cheap to get over now. To be honest, I get over for a few hundred.
No, that's the cool part. Like, I played Dublin at that Vodafone festival like 4 or 5 years ago, and my dad met me there because the flights were affordable, which was like a really fun. That was like a
nice,
as a son who tells jokes for a living, it's like, oh hey, I'm gonna go to Dublin, and my dad was like, can I go? Just that kind of like, you going to there because of jokes? And I was like, yeah, and they're paying me. Like, it's not like a
phenomenal.
And Dublin was, because we're like Irish, Scottish motherfucker. I mean, you can tell, look at us. So he was just in heaven the whole time, and
nice.
Yeah, we had a great
it's super
time.
close. I'm in Manchester now, so I'm probably an hour from Dublin, and I never really appreciate how close I am to everything. I can be in Amsterdam in 45, the airport in 30 from here, and then Amsterdam in under an hour for the flight. You just take off, go right, and land, and you're in Amsterdam. It's less than an hour from here. So I'll be going there soon as well in July. Lots of stories from there. But then, Germany, Belgium, it's all so close. It's so small.
Yeah.
This is all so small. I think the UK is smaller than Texas. I think more or less.
And there's trains. You guys do public transportation really well.
So I can take a train here to the airport or Liverpool. I can be in London in 2 hours, and I'm in kind of the northwest of the country. I can be in London in 2 hours just over, and I'll be doing that next weekend as well. So you can get around super fast. Flights are cheap to get to Europe, and once you're in Europe, the transport's even better. Once you're in France, Belgium, those trains over there are cheaper. They're beautiful scenery and all that stuff. So it's all there, and I want to go and do some stand up in probably Berlin's pretty good. They got a lot of English speaking nights. They got a lot of English speaking nights over there. East Berlin, the Russian side is the formerly Soviet side is the fun side, although it doesn't look fun. But it's generally a good city, and even Amsterdam, I think, have got a few. They've got
there's a couple clubs and Barcelona has one now too, I think.
Yeah, and I met. I was at Edinburgh Festival last year, and I met a Scottish guy, and he lives in Barca. So he's I don't know if he's got a club or he's a promoter or he's a comic out there as well. I'm not sure. I need to have him on soon. And I'll probably see him in Edinburgh this year. But yeah, he lives out there as an expat and works pretty regularly just around Barca. So I think there's probably some stuff going on.
Yeah, that's Frank Castillo, Comedy Store guy, who's just over there for Spanibus or whatever they call it, the big cannabis festival in Barcelona. And he was like, there's a club that I played out every night. It was fucking dope. And I was like, huh. Because I love Barcelona. I've always wanted to go there. It just seems
I've been once about 10 years ago. The cathedral, the cathedral that never ends. The Gaudi thing is beautiful. Nice weather. You got the beach there.
There's
and
just
all that
art
stuff.
everywhere too. It seems like everyone's just doing art.
Yeah, the art and the little streets. And I remember just walking around and I came across like a local street party. It was just for local people, but they were just like, have some food. We've got all this food. Just have a bowl of food. Walk around, take a look. So, okay.
Yeah.
Could never find it again. I was just wandering.
My son's uncle, his mom's brother lives there, and when he was younger, she took him there, and he still he was like just the food at the gas station was better than most food we have here, is what he kept saying. He was like, I think he had like French fries and orange juice at some gas station, and that's all. He was like, it was just so good. It's not like our gas stations. And I was like, so that's what you remember about Barcelona is the gas station. It's like funny what kids pick up, when they're traveling and stuff. You're like, that's where that gas station food is good. And you're like, huh, okay.
Nah, yeah, it's a strange one. I had a friend who went to LA and he goes, the food's shit in LA. I was like, what do you mean? I had Mexican food for breakfast every day. He goes, well, he was driving and all he was stopping at was gas stations and buying shitty food. I was like, yeah.
Well, that's like, we didn't know. My dad and I didn't know. We stumbled. This was accident because we were walking around Dublin, during the day, seeing stuff, looking at all that stuff. And then I looked down, I was like, oh shit. I was like, let's just go to a pub and get some bar food. I was like, it'll be quick. And I was like, and then we got to get to the show. I was like, we don't have time to go somewhere and eat. So we went to this cool little, little pub. And then I was looking at the menu. I was like, this is fucking awesome. And then, I got shepherd's pie and all this great food, and they brought it out. And me and my dad, I was like, this is the best bar food I've ever had. And I was telling people at the show after that, and they were like, and these Irish comics were like, oh, no. That's where it's not like the States where it's like shitty bar food. He's like, this is where everyone goes at 5:00 to eat and then drink. So it's like the best food is going to be at these places. And I was like, oh, what a fun accident we figured out there. Cause I was just like, we'll just get some fucking garbage and then I got to go to the show. But it was amazing. And they're like, yeah, that's where all the good food.
Pubs are right. So you can get, I'm glad you said that because everyone criticizes British food. And I understand what you mean, man, because there's some shit you can get. But some of that stodgy shepherd's pie and all that kind of stuff, there's some good pubs now, and that's it. It's just to line your stomach so you can drink 12 pints of beer. That's
what my dad and I were laughing at. I was like, oh, this is just like a foundation that can soak stuff up. It's like, this is like eating biscuits and gravy before you start drinking, where you're just like, that's a good. You can drink more like that.
Keep you going for 7-8 hours, and then you get the kebabs on the way home. You hit the grease.
And the funny part was like after the show, we were like, let's go. It was like 4 or 5 hours. I did a couple sets, and it was like 11. I was like, let's go back and see if we can get some food at another pub. And we walked in, and just everyone's. I mean, it's packed, but everyone's just shit house drunk. And I was like, oh, we're not gonna. I think the
food will generally stop pretty early, but some of them will open late. But for the most part, it's just drinking time now.
Yeah, that's what we know. We're just like, oh, we've missed the food part. Yeah, it was just very fun.
You get shitty you get kebabs and and all that shit on the way.
We got some street food on the way. That's what we ended up. And I was like, oh, we hit a real good window before the show.
Lucky. Yeah, it's good as well. I mean, do you find you can eat well before a show? I mean, I guess you're probably used to it. I can't eat a lot of food before.
It's a time if I have, it depends. Like if I've been walking around or doing something like that, if I can hit 2 to 3 hours before showtime, I can have like a real meal. But if I miss that window, I'll just get coffee and like a banana or something because it's. If you eat anything heavy the whole time you're on stage, you're just like, I don't care. You know what I mean? You're just like, I don't.
Then it fucks you though because you feel you should eat, and then it's midnight, and like fuck. Now I'm gonna.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. If you look at any comics, like unless you're some disciplined fucking lunatic, which is what it takes to stay in shape on the road. Yeah, your sleep schedule, your eating schedule is totally fucked. Like. I'm 2 hours ahead of my body right now, and that's why I got to sleep in because it's still just 10 a.m. My body's still just like, nah, this is normal schedule, which is cool, but it throws you off. You travel.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. So so when did you shoot Testify, the special? When did you shoot that? Because it came out a couple of months back.
Yeah, it came out in November. It came out for sale in November, and then it came out. Yeah. Free in December, which is like really when it comes out now, but the odd thing is we shot it in August of 2022, so it took about a year for a little over a year for it to get released and all that. So
2021?
No, 2022, and then it was released. Yeah, 2021. Sorry,
Sorry, yeah, I just fucked my. I was like, what? I didn't know what year it was
I'm,
for 5 minutes.
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
good, that's good. So
Yeah, 2021.
That's right, because
and it came out 2022.
people have got masks on at the beginning, right, where they're shooting the audience. I noticed that yesterday.
And we delayed it 4 months, thinking that because I didn't want that because like the special's kind of evergreen. It's not like I did that on purpose where I was like, I just don't want it to be like so. Even the production company, like, we totally understand. But then we thought we were going to miss the whole thing. And then, like, literally, like a week or 2 weeks before, there was like some surge. Remember all that? And then they're like, we got to do the thing again. And if you want to, we just couldn't be like, don't wear masks inside. Because you can tell some people were and some people weren't. And we just didn't want to be like, don't. Because it's like, so yeah, there is a couple masks and stuff.
But yeah, I just noticed. I forget that whole thing happened though. I just forget, and then like, oh yeah, we did that shit for like 18 months, 2 years.
Yeah.
But it's I love the venue you shot it in. It just what place was that?
The International Church. Anyway. The International Church of Cannabis.
Wow.
Is and it's a Spanish artist did all that stuff. I forget his name. I never get it right. And when I do get his name close to right, I can't pronounce it well. But he's dope. This kind of trust fund dude from Miami was the brainchild behind the International Church of Cannabis. He filed the right paperwork and stuff. But then he hired this artist to come in to do the inside, and it's just the trippiest, coolest thing you've ever seen inside like a place of worship like that. And I did a 420 show there probably 2, 3, 4 years before we did the special. And I was like, it was just like one of those moments. Yeah, there it is. Like,
fuck, man.
Where I was like, oh, I don't know what, but I want to shoot something here one day. And then I did DMT and was like, oh, I know what we can do. And it took a while.
The answers came from drugs, and it looks like the kind of place that should be the answers that drugs tell you to go.
Yeah, it's like if you're like the kind of place where you're just like if you're looking for stuff, looking for answers, that's a chill place to.
Yeah, because when I just didn't do any research or read the credits. But I remember I watched it again last night, and I remember thinking, is that a fucking is he in a fucking church? Did they let him do it in the church? There was a part of me for a minute go, where? Because it just looks right. It's great.
Yeah, they did I mean, it was like there's like a baptismal tub in the back because it was like a real church. And what's trippy about it is like it's just in a residential neighborhood in Denver because it's like a church or it was for forever. So it's just homes and so it looks just and then you pull up and then you go inside and that's what I loved about it too because it's like kind of camouflaged with everything else. So it doesn't stand out. They're not trying, but then you go inside and you're like, this is dope.
Yeah, it looks great in the daylight. I just seeing the pictures now, it just looks insane. So that's the kind of place. That's the kind of place you want to sit at the back of and do mushrooms as well and just sit there. If it was allowed. I'm
doing some Denver stuff this year. I'm in Denver next month in May, but then I'm coming back in September for another thing. And I want to do I want to show the special at the venue and have, trippy stuff and do a whole fun thing. But there's certain rules because it is like I think it's officially a church. So you can't use certain substances in certain rooms because,
can you take them outside and go in?
Oh, I think there's a courtyard outside, I think, just for that. Yeah. Yeah, I think there's plenty of loopholes to get around the loopholes, and it's a fun where you're just like, oh, you can't smoke that standing there, but if you move 2 feet, you can smoke it. And you're like, cool. I just need to know where I need to stand.
I took mushrooms in Amsterdam to go to the Van Gogh Museum, and we popped them, went in, and those fucks over the tannoy, as soon as we went in, they go, the museum is closing in 10 minutes. We're like, fuck. We just wanted to look at the paintings and watch them move and stuff. But they closed the museum as soon as we went in, so we had to then go out, and then the trees are moving, which was quite nice in the end. But it wasn't quite the day we wanted. But yeah, I need to go back and do that. It's on my list. It's to take mushrooms in the morning and just get in that museum and just sit and look at some crazy painting for a bit.
I don't
know.
After this, I'm going to in Houston, they have every year. It's called the Art Car Parade. And last night that's why I was making fun of Houston in the set. And I was like, even your art, you're all wealthy. Like even your art is like, I'm gonna fuck his car up. I was like, that's what rich people do. Like most people are like, you're gonna fuck, it's a car, man. You need a car. But in Houston, like we just put toys on it and stuff. So we're gonna go see that. And I was like, I would like mushrooms.
Man, I'm close. I think the weather's getting nice here. Spring's hitting. I'm going to call a dirty friend to come visit me in a couple of weeks, and we're going to take some shrooms and go and see some stuff going on. So I need a list of dirty friends to get my drugs from. That's what I need. But I do have it, just not everyone.
Well, next time you go to the States, I encourage you to go visit Andy Andrist in Eugene.
So ways up. Yeah, I'm sure he knows. I'm sure he knows where to get.
Well, it's decriminalized. Mushrooms are decriminalized completely in Oregon.
Fuck yes, they are. Yes, they are.
So
that's insane to me.
Last time I was there, I was playing this. It was like a glass show, like a glass pipe show, and they had a little booth, and there was a guy who had a business, and I'm sure there was no LLC, but he had like marketing and everything.
Yeah.
For mushrooms. And I was like, huh. And then I was like, oh, I hadn't even planned on doing that night, but I was like, oh, I do need to release. I think this probably be it. So I went over to him and I was like, hey, it was like 8:30. And I was like, I would like them to activate pretty quick. And then I would like the whole thing to be over by like 12:30, 1 o'clock.
Sure.
If that's possible. And he was like, I got you. So he reaches in this cooler and he hands out this little pouch that's like a mango kind of drink. He was like, drink that. That'll activate in about 15, 20 minutes. And then he handed me two kind of like Reese's cups size, two like probably smaller ones, like about like that.
This sounds good.
And he was like, take that first one after the drink hits. And he was like, and see where it takes you after 20, 30 minutes. He's like, and if you want to go a little farther, take the second one. He was like, but he's like, and then you'll have a good time. And then about 12:30 or 1, you'll start coming down and go to sleep. And I was like, okay. I took his word for it. I was like, okay. And sure enough, it was exactly what he said.
Fuck, man,
and like I had this thing where I was like, I was just in front of a big TV at my friend Mike's little apartment. And I turned on YouTube and just watched music videos. And then like I took a bath towel he had in his bathroom and I was just like cry out stuff and then just like this and then turn it to some music I like. And then about 12:30, I was like, okay, that was really therapeutic and great. And I smoked a little pot and ate a little food, which I was like, wow, this is like the perfect. And then it hit me. I was like, oh, it's because we didn't have to go buy it from a dude who just had this stuff. And then it was like, I went to the store like I did with cannabis, basically. And
they made them in a lab, man. That's not in some dirty guy's bathtub. They've grown them in or, cut them up. It's the first time I did shrooms was in Amsterdam again, and I took too many. I didn't know what I was doing. I took 3 times as much as I should have done, and I spent the day.
That's how you take mushrooms the first time. Where you're like, I saw God's face on accident last night.
But I'll let you go in a sec. But it wasn't hitting, so I was like, I'll take more. It wasn't hitting. I was just wandering around the canals. More coffee, nothing. Is it working? I sat at a bar with an American guy that I'd met for about 30 minutes. All of a sudden, the bar just goes. Reality just started, and I looked at him and said, "I need to go. And I ran upstairs to the room, and then the walls were doing it. I took cold showers. It was just overload. And then I laid in the bed on like the 3rd floor in a fucking hostel. The Flying Dog, maybe in Amsterdam years ago. And my thought process was, you have to jump out the window, don't jump out the window. You have to jump out the window, don't jump. But it was like on a cycle. And I was just laid in bed like this with the walls moving. And then, some people came back, found out what I did. They said, you've taken too many. Come out with us. Come out to a club. We're going to take care of you. And they did. But yeah, that was about 4 or 5 hours of that. Just laid in this bed. The whole fucking, the walls are going. It was a bad time for me.
Because you don't know.
That was the first time.
That's what I was going to say. It's because it's your first time and you're like, oh, I
took too many.
I might have done too much and I might die, is what you're thinking.
The guy told me, and I was like, yeah, I'll take what I need to take. They weren't working, so I just kept taking more. But since then, I've been a bit more sensible. I've been taking less than people tell me. I'll take this whole thing. I'll take half. I'm taking half.
And then, gradually, that's.
I had the last time actually was nice. I just had thoughts. It was just thoughts. It was kind of like I was talking to the mushrooms, like asking them questions, and they were answering back. And it's okay. This is nice. Felt connected to everything, all the cliches.
Yeah, that's kind of how you're supposed to. Yeah. Like DMT's kind of like that. It's like
that's on. That's on the list. That's on the list to do. I need to get it done.
I mean, I did it on. It wasn't a plan. It was just an opportunity, and I'll probably never do it again because it worked. But you do have to pick them from cow pastures. But they use manure and stuff to. But you know why they grow in cow shit? It's because cows have like so many stomachs. So the acid and stuff, it goes through different stomach, and then. But now we figured out how to grow them, so you can control them and all that. So it's like pretty nice.
Man, yeah, but they're on the list. But Billy, listen, man, I'm gonna let you go and enjoy your Saturday.
Of course, man. Anytime. This was a pleasure. I'd like to come over there and hang out with you proper. So.
Welcome anytime, and I'll be in the States, once or twice a year now as well. So we'll try and hook up sometime, and go and have a good day. Enjoy your show tonight. Go and kill it. You've got
have a good evening. It's evening there, isn't it?
It's 6, Now you got the New Mexico Tap Man himself retweeting everything you ever do, and the one-man promotion machine.
I love him.
So
he's the best promo machine I've seen in Hollywood.
He is an absolute monster. But go and enjoy your day, man. Thanks for coming on.
Of course. Thanks for having me. See you guys.
Right. Take it cheesy, man. Bye-bye. Billy Wayne Davis. There we go, man. How did you enjoy that with your donuts, Tap Man? If I missed any comments, I do apologize, by the way. It's a bit difficult. I find it a bit difficult when I'm actually engaged in a conversation to look at comments, but I was trying to do my best. Yeah. And there we go. Thank you very much. That was it. Billy Wayne Davis, if you made it this far, peace, love, and all that stuff. Again, give us a subscribe, and importantly, go and check out Billy Wayne Davis's special, Testify, link down below, all that stuff. Share, like, subscribe, all that stuff. Plenty of good guests to come. Anyway, that's it. Episode 100, nice and calm. No booze. We're learning we don't have to drink 100 beers and make it a 10-hour thing, although that is fun. And I'm sure it's going to come back. Birthdays next month. Let's see what happens. Apart from that, we'll see you later. All right? Stay tuned for any future podcasts. Hit the notification stuff. Check us out on Twitter. Last Rites Pod. Me, Carl _Man down there. And I'll see you later. Goodbye.